Hello guys, this is Justin for CGTids Plus, and today I'm going to show you how to model a Gatling gun. Actually, this is kind of like a cartoonish Gatling gun. It's inspired from a Worms Armageddon, I don't know how to really pronounce it, print, but it's basically cartoon looking, like everything is exaggerated. I've modeled this out of my own head, like I didn't use any blueprints or anything, but uh, guessing the sizes and everything kind of takes a bit, so to ease my modeling process during this recording, I took a few screen grabs from the front, side, and top, just to help me model. Uh, also, I'm gonna make sure you guys get these too, because modeling something just from your head requires a lot of thinking, so to say. Okay, so let's jump into Modo here, and let's start by placing our backdrops. We can place the backdrops by going to New Item, Backdrop Item, and we're gonna go to Properties here, and first let's load the images into Modo. Okay, and let's set this to front, and let's maybe give it 50% transparency. That's maybe too much. 30, 25. Okay, and now let's create a new backdrop item. Put this projection type to top and select the top image. Also give it 25% transparency, and another backdrop item for our side, and it's actually supposed to be left flipped. And give this one 25%. Now let's I'm sorry. Now let's place our backdrops so we can see what we're actually doing. Okay, now let's see if they match up, because you can see this one is not centered, and I'm gonna center it using that small line. Okay. Yeah. That's about it. We're not gonna bother. We're not gonna bother too much about these, and we're not gonna follow them step by step. I'm just using them for reference. Okay, so um, like any other project, we should probably start with what's obvious, and that is the barrels. Let's go into the front viewport and make sure you have your mesh, your empty mesh selected, and pick your cylinder tool and just drag. Okay, we're gonna use 12 sides, one segment, and we've got to make sure that our radiuses match, and drop the tool with spacebar. Regarding the shortcuts for every tool I'm using, I'm just gonna say them out loud once, and then you're gonna have to remember it. because it's a waste of time to repeat them every time I use them, because I use them quite a lot. Okay, now let's rescale this to fit our reference. Maybe going to wireframe mode and just scale this. Remember, the shortcuts for move, rotate, and scale are W, E, and R. So W for move, E for rotation, and R for scale. Okay, now this is matched up, but as you can see, the reference image is not centered correctly. So we are going to center it. There we go. That's centered. And now if we use center selected to our cylinder, it will center perfectly. Okay. And now just use bevel tool to make an inset. The shortcut is B, and just delete that inset. Now let's go to the perspective view, go over to the left view, and just move the cylinder just so it's inside the that shell, and use the extrude tool, polygon extrude, which is X on the keyboard, or you can also find it into polygon, into the polygon submenu, and yeah, it should be here, but it's not. Yeah, it's here. Extrude into the mesh edit. Okay, so extrude and just extrude it out. Now let's go back to the front and top. Although the images look kinda out of scale, so we're just gonna force it to be on scale. There we go. So left. Probably this one is out of scale too, so you can maybe play it a bit with it. Okay. I'm sorry about that, my throat is a bit sore. Okay, now these inner polygons here, they're not going to be seen, so we might as well delete them. And now if you try to smooth this out using tab on the keyboard, we're not going to get what we want. So to repair that, to fix that, we're going to need to have a few support edges around the edges that we need sharp. Let me just okay, sorry. So we want, since this is going to be cartoon-like, we want these the barrel tip here to be fairly sharp, but not that sharp, because we're not aiming for photorealistic here. So we are going to, I just hope Modo didn't crash. Okay, so Modo didn't crash, but it froze, so I had to redo the scene. So let's delete these back polygons here. Remember to save your scene pretty awesome. Okay, so as I was saying, we need a few support edges to keep these tip edges sharp. So first of all, we are going to use the loop slice tool, which is Alt C pretty often. So remember that. So select these polygons, hit Alt C, and make sure your mode is set to symmetry. Actually set it to free and count to 1, and just bring that edge right here. Now we're gonna need to repeat the process for the inside, and bam, we got what we needed. If we were to add, say, another loop here, we're gonna get the edge here is gonna be too sharp for our purposes. So I'm just gonna remove that and leave it as it is. But right now we have a bit of a smoothing problem. Well, not problem, but this cylinder here doesn't have too many segments. So it's trying, basically, Modo is trying to smooth from here to here, which is a pretty long distance. So we're going to help it and give it 2 more segments to work with. And there we go. Now, as you can see, the Gatling gun has these supports. So to make it look more, well, to emphasize the tips of the barrels and to make it look more, I don't know, more cartoon-like, we're going to puff the tips just a bit. By puff, I mean scale them outwards just a little bit. So select those polygons, hit L on the keyboard to make a loop selection, but we're going to make it here, so this way we can grow the selection just to where we need by holding down Shift and up arrow. But first let's add another segment to match this one that's on the outside, and now we can do our puffing. So just select the scale tool and scale it upwards just a little. It's barely noticeable, but trust me, it makes a difference. Okay, now that we created our first barrel, we're going to actually go in here and delete those segments because they won't be visible, and we can probably drag that a bit more in. Okay, so now that we did the first barrel, we can go to the front and we can duplicate it using our radial array tool. But to make sure they are duplicated around the center, we need to set our action center to origin. Now we can use the radial array tool, and as you can see, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I used when you duplicate around the origin, you have to remember that the origin is here. So I have to move my backdrop images so that point is actually at the origin. There we go. And now let's move our barrel. Okay, and now if we do the radial array, we're gonna get that. Well, we don't want that. We only want 6 barrels. So change the count to 6 and drop the tool. Now let's save the scene. Okay, so with the barrels done, our next step is to create those supports. So again, sometimes, although I keep my mesh into one single layer, sometimes I prefer to create multiple layers just to get some geometry out of the way instead of hiding it, because that can cause problems when you mirror stuff or do other things on that certain layer. Okay, so go to the front viewport and create your cylinder. That's gonna be our support, and this time we're gonna use a bit more sides, maybe 16. Okay, and let's test the smoothing, see if it smooths the right size. And it doesn't, so it means we need to scale it just a little bit. Okay, now we need to drill the holes for the barrels. There are multiple ways to do that, but for this mesh I'm going to use Boolean with solid drill and a stencil. So I'm going to go over to the geometry menu, Boolean, solid drill, stencil, and when I'm gonna hit OK, we're gonna get an error or not. Yeah, sometimes Modo likes to crash when using booleans, but this time it didn't. Lucky me. Okay, now we can go over to the to the barrels layer, and right now we duplicated the barrels just so we can drill the holes, but to be able to work more clearly, we're gonna delete 5 of them and just keep 1 so we can duplicate it in the future. Okay, and now let's just cut these holes and delete. Okay, now right now we're gonna have to do a very painstaking operation, and that is connecting all these verts, because if we smooth right now we're gonna get a pretty ugly image. So I'm gonna show you a few tips. I'm gonna show you how to start off, and since this is gonna probably take a while, I'm not gonna show you guys the whole process because it can be very boring. So I'm just gonna pause and resume when I'm done. But for now, just watch. You have to make sure that let's hide our reference. You have to make sure that basically every mesh here is connected to something and creates a quad, preferably a quad. You can also go for triangles, but depends where those triangles are, because you don't really want a triangle near this edge here, which is probably going to be a sharp edge. So just try and keep them as quads, because it will help you when you when you want to smooth things out. Okay, so you can see how this is done. We are using the edge slice tool, which is C on the keyboard, and you can find it in the mesh edit edge slice. So I'm just gonna pause and I'll resume when I'm done. Okay, so I'm done with this. Now I don't have all quads here. I have a few n-gons, but I don't think they will bother us too much. Now let's try. Let's go to the left view. I went ahead and aligned this with the reference image. Now we're going to use the extrude tool to match this up. So X on the keyboard and just match it up. Now if you try to smooth this out right now, it's going to look pretty ugly. But there are a few things we can do to change that. First of all, let's try and add a few support edges on the top here, and that helps a bit. Let's see if by adding 2 edges there helps a little. So it helps a little, but as you can see, not enough. So what we can do to fix that is go back a few steps. Just before we extrude it, select all these polygons, hit B on the keyboard and make a slight bevel inward. That will create a small row of polygons here and here, a row that is much needed. Make sure you have group polygons on. Okay, now when we extrude, that detail is going to copy on the other side, so we wouldn't have to do it. Okay, and as you can see, it already looks much better, and we can probably afford a single edge here just to ease the smoothing process. Okay, and we can add 2 support edges on the inside. Okay, I'm just repeating the process, selecting polygons and then using Alt-C. Okay, and there we have it. This is our support. And let's go to the front. Now you can see that the barrel matches. Well, it matches, but we need to scale it down just a little bit so when you render you can actually see that gap. And you can check if the gap is visible just by unhiding both layers. We have a small problem here, and that's because when we did this support, it wasn't perfectly aligned. So we're gonna need to go on and fix that, and we're gonna have to fix it manually, or we can just delete this half, go to Action Center, set it to Origin, duplicate, and mirror, but it doesn't really fix it. Oh, no, it's not the support that's out of alignment, it's the barrel. Okay, now everything should be fine. And yes, everything is fine. Save your scene, and now we can probably go ahead and clone this support by using the clone tool, which you can find in the duplicate tab. So go to duplicate clone, click once, and we need 2 copies. Okay, this one needs to be a bit further in. And now what I've decided, like when I modeled this, was that the distance between here and here is a bit too small for a cartoon-like Gatling gun. So I went ahead and I selected those outer polygons, grew the selection once, and what I did is just scaled them just a little bit. I think it was something like 1%. Okay, now now we can go ahead and duplicate the barrels too. So go to front, make sure your action center is set to origin, and use the radial array tool. And bam, there we go. We have 6 barrels and 3 supports. We gotta make sure that our barrels get in here, and they do. Now we can save our scene. Let's rename our layers. Barrels, supports, 8, an S there. Okay. Okay, now let's get on with the other parts. So select, make another mesh, either by hitting N on the keyboard or just going to new item mesh. And next we're going to create the rear end here. Well, the rear end is basically came from this piece here, so we're going to copy it over, and we're going to hide the supports and the barrels, and we're going to select that row of polygons, Control X, delete, and Control V. Now we need to move this, set your action center to automatic, just eases the modeling process. Now we need to move this a bit in, just like that, and flip it. Now select this outer edge here, hit Z on the keyboard, which stands for edge extend, click once, and then we're going to use the scale tool to match it to our rear end here. Okay. Now go to top. Actually, you can probably see that our top reference image doesn't perfectly match. Okay, now it does. Okay, and just hit Z again and drive this back, and this back here is a bit tapered in, kind of like that. Okay, and hit P on the keyboard to create a face there. And just bevel in, go to vertex and join averaged. Now right out of the box, if you smooth this, you're not going to get what you want, so again we're going to have to add support edges along the way, and we're probably going to need one up here. Let's see if we add one. Yeah, this works, but sorry, it needs to be a bit further in. Okay. And we need another support edge at the end here. Maybe move this along. Sorry if I get quiet all of a sudden. It's not that I want to, it's just that I get concentrated. Okay, now let's do a bevel here, and another one for future pieces to come. Okay, and sorry, and now let's drag this a bit outward, just like that. Maybe even scale it out once. Okay, don't forget to scale back in this segment here because we need it to be fairly close to the support that's going there. Okay, save your scene. And now let's add a bit of, I don't know, let's add a bit more detail on the back here. Not feeling too comfortable with what we have. So I'm just going to make a small bevel just to add more more detail. Okay, now let's, everything I do right now is about detail, so I can't really say why I'm doing it. It's just to make things look more interesting. Okay, so now let's probably we can we can probably select, actually let's go over to unsmoothed view because it's a lot better. And let's remove these two edges here because they're gonna help us, and this one because they're gonna help us smooth the detail that we're gonna create right now later on. Okay, so just like that, and okay, hit B on the keyboard, click once, let's inset a little bit, hold down shift, click again, make it just a little bit upwards, shift click again, outside, shift click again, shift click again, and inset. Okay, now they don't look too hot right now, but we're gonna fix it, and we're gonna fix it by adding some support edges. Okay, now let's add another loop here. And another one at the back. There we go. Now obviously I just want to say that when you model stuff, even if you model the same okay, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry about that. My phone started ringing. I forgot to change it to silent. My apologies. Okay, and now let's add another support edge here just to make things a bit sharper. There we go. Save our scene. And this is pretty much it for the back end here. I can't even remember what I was talking about with you guys. I think it was something about modeling the same object again. Even if you model your same object again, you won't be able to get it exactly the same. Okay. Next thing that we're gonna do, I'm just gonna rename this to rear end, is we're gonna do that support, well, that thing there. But before we do that, I think it would be best if we start off by doing the base. So I just created a default cylinder by holding down Control and pressing once on the cylinder, which I'm going to modify a little. I'm just going to remove those edges and a few extra sides. Okay. And now I'm going to go to the front and match it up. Now this is a bit tapered. Okay. And we can add a support edge right there. I'm sorry. And we added another one right here, and we're going to just collapse these in the middle. We're gonna do the same on the bottom, and this is probably it. I'm just checking to see if if the blueprints are not aligned again. So yeah, we're gonna move this right here. Maybe that taper at the bottom is a bit more than what we want. Okay. And I've got the feeling that this reference image is a bit out. Okay. That should work. Now at the bottom, this support has this support has a bevel just like that. Okay. Okay, now that bevel that bevel is there just for detail, nothing it doesn't serve a higher purpose. Okay. And I think that's about it for for the space. Now let's create a small whatever you want to call it, piston or whatever that's going on at the bottom there. Again, I'm repeating the process by reducing the resolution of that cylinder. And actually this needs to be aligned to the center. And yeah, we have to delete the caps because none of them will be seen. Okay, and there we go. Now that we now that we're done with the mesh, let's rename it to I don't know, base. Okay. And next we are going to work on those parts that attach the Gatling gun to the base and to the ammo holder. Okay, let's go to the left view. Actually, let's go to the front. Make a new mesh. We're kind of running out of time here, so grab the pen tool, or I don't know, grab the box tool. It's better. Okay, go to top and make sure it's kind of aligned, so to speak. Okay. And now let's just fit it to the reference. Okay, maybe add a few slices here and there using Shift C, and just make them match the reference image. Okay. That looks about right. Now we need to add a slice at the bottom here and make this go inside the support, maybe even a little downward. Okay, now if you smooth this out, you're not gonna get what you want, obviously. Oh boy. Yeah, okay. Looks like Modo froze on me again. I'm gonna pause and resume. Okay, so I'm back. Now let's, as I was saying, if you smooth it, you're not gonna get what you want, so let's try and add those support edges that I was talking about earlier. Okay. Now we need another one here, and another one here, and another one at the very bottom here. And that's about it. We just need to bring one more on that side. And if we go to the viewport right now, to the left view, you're going to see that we got our thingy here. Thing is, I I forgot to do the curve here, so I'm going to do it right now. It's really nothing fancy. Okay. And I'll save your scene. And set the action center origin, and let's mirror this on the other side. There we go. Save again. Unhide everything, and let's check our gun. Well, it looks good. Now we kinda ran out of time on this one, so I'll see you next